Today on VIP, we've got the head of VIP, Steve Wood. Steve's at the Wembley Hilton, I believe, in London, in Eddie's bubble. Is it the first time you've been in the bubble, Steve?
It is, yeah. I've not bothered. I mean, I've had the odd fighters on these shows, and I've always kept away. But for this one, I've been thinking about it. Obviously, my best night in boxing was Josh Warrington at Ellen Road when he beat Reece for the world title, and I'm just thinking on Saturday night it could be up there as one of my best nights in boxing with the 3 kids we've got on and what is going to come after if they all win. So it's very important, and I just thought to myself, I know it's a few days off my engineering business, but let's get down there, support the lads, and enjoy it. And also, Steve, I've not experienced what it's like in the bubble, so hopefully it's over and done with soon, and we don't have to do it. But I thought to myself, I need to really go and see what it's all about.
When was the last time you was at a boxing show then, Steve? I presume, did you have one in Liverpool a couple of days before Boris shut us all in?
Yeah, we had one the Saturday before they closed on the Thursday, and we should have had one the Saturday afterwards. I forget what the date was now, but it was something like the 6th of February, 6th of March.
Oh.
It's nearly 12 months, so I've seen a live boxing show, yeah.
So what happened, just before we talk about the fights, what happens? You went down on the train this morning. Do you then get thrown in a car, or do you have to get a tube there and then just get your test?
Well, I come down with Ricky Hatton, believe it or not. He jumped on at Stockport. I got on at Piccadilly Euston. So I got there early this morning thinking I'd get a cup of tea in the first class lounge, but that was shut. So I spent 50 minutes on the platform. I didn't even have any feet left by the time we got on the train. And Coach Jay, so he had to walk past about 11 empty coaches before we got on at Coach Jay, and there was only me on, and Ricky joined in Stockport, and by the time we got off, there might have been another 10 people who got on the train. It was very, very sparse, Steve, and a bit airy, you know what I mean? It's a daft situation at the moment. We jumped off there, and because Ricky's been in a few bubbles, he gave me a bit of a tip. So we went to Sainsbury's Locals, and we got some beers and chocolates and crisping. So we got picked up by Matsoon very kindly, brought us straight to the hotel. They have a little tent outside, so before you're in the hotel, you do your testing, and then the security take you up to your room, and you're locked in your room till you get your test result in the morning. So I probably got another 14 hours after already having 5 hours in this hotel room.
So what did Ricky tip you? To get all the food and get a few Coronas in or something?
Well, as it happens, I've got Coronas. Ricky's a bigger hitter than me, then he got some tins of Stella.
So you got the Hitman's bubble secrets. That's good. So yeah, you're there, and let's talk about the fight Saturday. If all 3 won, do you really think this could be better than Josh beating Selby for you?
I don't think the night would be better, but it could actually move all 3 of them into fantastic positions, couldn't it? And then we could have 3 other separate nights, because after this they can all headline their own shows. Obviously, Josh is headlining it tomorrow. I don't know which order you want to speak about there, but it's 3 big fights, and they all move on to him.
Okay, we'll start at the top of the bit. Okay, well, we'll start with Reece Mould, because Josh and Zelfa are big odds on. The one everyone, or most people are saying, is gonna meet with defeat is Reece Mould, who meets Lee Wood for the vacant British featherweight title. Why do you think Reece can cause an upset, Steve?
Well, simply because he's a good fighter, and Lee Wood is as well. And I'm just hoping that we're getting it at the right time, where hopefully Lee Wood's just going over on the slide now. I think he's about 30-year-old, isn't he? And he's had 25 fights. I mean, he's only lost twice, and one was his last time out to Jazza Dickens, who's a completely different fighter to what Reece is. He's a mover, isn't he? A tricky southpaw, and he outboxed Lee Woods. Now that's something that Reece isn't going to do. You know, Reece is going to have a fight with him. I've been hearing about what a big puncher Lee Woods is, and he might be, but he's certainly no bigger puncher than Reece Mould, and Reece might be a bigger puncher than him. So you know, if he does stand and have a fight, I think that'll suit us a little bit more. I've seen a bit of Lee Woods, and he is a good fighter. I actually saw his first loss against Gavin McDonald in 2014 down in Hull. It was when Tommy Carr was fighting one of the cards, and he was absolutely battering Gavin McDonald for about 6 rounds till he run out of gas. So I think he was down at super bantamweight there, and that affects him a little bit. And obviously he beat up Ryan Doyle back in May 2019 in Nottingham, and to be honest with you, Doyle didn't perform that night, but he looked $1 million, Lee Woods.
Yeah, and but you say he might be over the, you know, you're thinking possibly he might just be on slipping now, Lee Wood. But do you not think his experience could also count for a lot against Reece?
Listen, it could go either way, couldn't it? You know, when you get these like crossover fights sort of thing, you've got the young guy coming through who's really hungry and ready to kick on, and then you've got the older guy who's got the experience, and that could tell. So it's a genuinely 50-50 match. It could go either way. Obviously, with Reece being one of the VIP boys, we're expecting him to win. You know me, Steve, I always put kids in fights, but I never put them in a fight if I didn't think they had a chance of winning. And obviously, he is the main mandatory. You know, he's saying like it's Woods v Mould, but really this should be Mould v Woods, because Mould was the mandatory against Jordan Gill. Jordan Gill didn't fancy it and pulled out, and Lee Woods got put in next there. So you know, really and truthfully, this should be about Reece Mould coming out, not Lee Wood hanging in, and I'm hoping that's what happens on Saturday night.
You mentioned the word someone who's coming out there. You know, Zelfa Barrett, is this his breakout fight Saturday night? We were saying on the VIP Bell to Bell podcast the other day that people still look at Zelfa as a prospect. Is it time now, if he does a number on Kiko Martinez, just to kick him on, and if he can't get a big domestic fight, push for the world stage and maybe become the next Manchester star?
Well, I mean, when he signed for Eddie, that was what he wanted, you know. Unfortunately, the pandemic means that this big fight here is going to be behind closed doors, but it could have been at the arena, and it could have been the start of him being the next Anthony Crolla, which is what the plans are. But, you know, he's got to win this. He's got to look good doing it, and then he's got to become this top of the bill, as we were saying before. You know, chief support to Josh tomorrow, but a good performance, because a lot of people are, I wouldn't say writing off Kiko, but I mean, I just had a little look at his record and the losses who he's lost to. You know, Carl Frampton twice, Scott Quigg. Now we know he come in a bit late and was a bit weight drained in that one. Leo Santa Cruz, Josh Warrington, Gary Russell Jr., all not just world champions, but elite world champions. And his first loss, I think you was there, if I remember rightly, Steve, because it was a Frank Maloney show in Nottingham, wasn't it?
Brendan Monroe.
Brendan Monroe for the European title fight. And
that's what I was referring to,
And if you remember rightly, Steve, we all thought that he'd won that fight.
Yeah. But so what he is a high-end gatekeeper, isn't he now?
Well, I mean,
and that's not disrespectful to Kiko.
Just going to say that's a nice way of putting it. But you know, if and we're expecting him to do, Zelfa puts on a great performance on Saturday night, it takes him up to that level where he can start topping bills and start, obviously, maybe fighting for the European title or eliminating for the world title, because he has broke out if he does what we'd expect him to do on Saturday night. I
mean, there's been a delay in the past, purpose to the Archie Sharp fight. I know there'll be needle there with a rivalry when they were both with Frank Warren against Hearn and yourself. But would you like that fight to happen? Because Archie, he's number 3 with a WBO, and you're talking world title eliminators. I mean, if that went out the purse bids again, would you encourage that fight as his manager, or do you want to leave Britain behind and go on? Because you did mention the eliminator, Steve, and he's not agree with the WBO.
To be honest with you, if it was an eliminator for the world title, I would say, yeah. I mean, it's just madness that they put that out, haven't they? Eddie's 3 or 4 in the WBO, and we're 4 or 5 in the IBF, and they're putting it out for the eliminator for the British title.
Yeah,
absolute craziness from the board. I mean, that fight probably could and would and maybe happen down the line, but it ain't going to happen from our side or even their side for eliminating for the British. Why would the 2 kids who's in a position they are risk that for eliminating for the British title? I just thought it was madness that went out, and I just can't see that going through. I mean, obviously we didn't have to consider pulling out of it because they withdrawn through the purse bids with injury, and he's, I believe, been just delayed till he comes back. But obviously we'll be moving on from eliminators for the British, and I dare say he will be as well.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, if it's eliminated for the world title, it's a great fight because there's so much at stake, especially if it's a mandatory position.
Yeah.
And finally, Josh Warrington, Mauricio Lara. I mean, it's great. You know, look, it's a mixed bag for Josh this year. It's great that he's out when there's so many fighters not getting work, but such a shame he's not got his world title, isn't it, to defend against Mauricio Lara?
Yeah, I mean, it was honourable at the time, Steve. I think we spoke to it off record, haven't we? Where, you know, he's not fought for 15 months. He's got a fight coming along. It's what he's always wanted. It's a unification fight for the WBA and his IBF, and that's what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, Cantu pulls out, and then other things happened, which meant he had to vacate his title, because this originally was going to be a defence of his IBF, but the IBF decided it couldn't happen, and we decided that we wanted to do this, and we've got the Cantu fight back on hold. So you know, it's a potential banana skin for him on Saturday night. You know, he's a 22-year-old game Mexican. I mean, he's only lost twice in 23 fights, and the first one was on his debut, and I can't work out whether he was 15 or 16-year-old. So he's obviously been fighting men since he was a young person, and you know, I've seen the press conference today. He looks very confident. Obviously, Josh should deal with it and deal with him handily on Saturday, but anything can happen in a fight, can't it? So Josh has got to make sure he's on the ball, makes a statement, and then we can move into the fight with Cantu, which would be for the ring belt, and cement his #1 ranking in the world as the best featherweight there is.
Do you is there any update? I know you don't want to maybe jump ahead of yourself, but what's the latest on the Zoo fight? I know Eddie mentioned, I think it was Eddie mentioned April 24 as a possible date for it. Yeah.
Well, as you say, in boxing, nothing's ever done to you in the ring, is it? But yeah, everything goes well on Saturday night. That's the date that we're looking for, and obviously Josh will get what's up is a tune-up fight, which after 15 months will help us. And you know, we want to look good on Saturday night, and then we want to be devastating on April the 24th, and then look for the fights with the likes of Gary Russell Jr. or Leo Santa Cruz or whoever we can get, where the legacy of Josh Warrington is built, because, you know, he's 30-year-old now, and you know, losing 15 months in his prime, because he was looking at the stage where he was possibly unbeatable, wasn't he?
When he was at that peak,
before the playoff.
I think I've said to you when we've spoken, you know, not privately, but not in interviews, Steve, that he's one of these fighters that I hope that he was at that spell where he was looking unbeatable. And some fighters, you know, have that for two years where they're untouchable, and then gradually they don't go overnight. The decline starts slowly, and you just hope, you know, I've said to you, I just hope Josh has still got that 15 months ago, because
what you can say about Josh, he does everything right. He's very diligent, and contrary to what people think, he's not a boozer or anything like that. You know, just because he's a football fan doesn't mean he's a piss pot like most of them are. But no, he's is a superb professional, you know what I mean? And he's added to his tools in these 12 months. He's took a guy on from Leeds University on strength and conditioning, and we're all hoping that the Joe public will see on Saturday night a big improvement from him.
Yeah. Steve, before we let you go, away from this weekend and your own shows, with what, the latest government stuff, what's been hearing and said, when are you thinking? Now, last time we spoke with you, had Steve Goodwin with you, and you're both looking at maybe, I think, Steve, September. You were maybe looking at late summer for crowds back. Have you got any further thoughts on that, or are you still got that in your mind?
Listen, I don't think until the vaccinations are rolled out that you're going to be allowed crowds in at boxing events, and I think we've got to be really looking at September. So that's what I'm hoping for now. It'd be nice to think we can all get away in July and August. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but as soon as we're given a nod, we'll be moving. Like same with Ricky Hatton today. Desperate for live sport at the moment. Desperate. It's just not the same.
Yeah, well, it's some people like yourself and Ricky, like me, our life at weekend. I remember our life revolves about going Fulham most home and away. You go United every home game and the odd away game in the north, and Ricky goes virtually every City home game. So it's what until it's gone, you don't miss it. It was a year ago the other day. I did my last Fulham away game, and if you'd see at that time, you had no idea. If someone had said to me that, I would have sent them for a front or lobotomy.
Yeah, and like the boxing nights as well. If I'm not doing my own shows, I was always going to one at the weekend. So it's amazing how you take things for granted, isn't it, Steve? And I say I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, and 3 big wins is massive for the VIP stable tomorrow. I was going to say that we've got 3 genuine bill-toppers then, because Reece is very popular in Doncaster, and he'll start filling small halls, that's for sure.
Brilliant, Steve. Well, thanks a lot. Before we let you go, no sneaking out the room to the hitman's room. There's a few nice pubs near Wembley, them Irish pubs at one end of the stadium there. Being a Fulham fan, I've only been there about three times in my life, but there's a couple of Irish pubs behind there. I don't want you two slipping out there tonight for a curry, that 10 pints of Guinness and a punch-up.
No, listen, Steve, it's bad in here. I'm not great with the electronics. I'm not even worked out how to put the telly on yet, and the eating's on full blast. I've not worked out how to turn that down, so it could be that I need a sleepover at the Hattons tonight and help him shift some of that Stella.
Oh, mate, you got an electrical business. How can you not work central heating? You got plumbing and engineering business. You can't turn the telly off.
Listen, if the shower was dripping, I'd be all right with the plumbing side of it. But we're mechanical, we're not electrical. So all this tech stuff's not for me, Steve. I'm useless. I've struggled with my phone. I've got to get my son to do things, yeah.
Steve, thanks a lot, mate.
All right, I'll catch you soon, Steve. Tonight, mate.
For all boxing, info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.